My name's Pedro Zepeda, and I'm from Naples, Florida. I'm a member of the Seminole tribe of Florida, and so we've been in Florida a long time, and that's on my mother's side. My father is Tejano, Mexican-born American, so I'm half Mexican-American, half Native American. I started off pretty young, around 14, learning a lot of our different traditional arts. So I learned to make one of our older style of baskets from split palmetto stems. So we make like sifting baskets and carrying baskets, more utilitarian type things. I also learned wood carving from my grandmother's partner at the time, Ingram Billie Jr. And he was working at the Ah-Tah-Thi-Ki Museum in Big Cypress as a wood carver out in their village, and so I'd go spend days out there with him and he'd start showing me how to carve little canoes and alligators and things like that. And then my older brother, who's 12 years older than me, Brian, he was kind of also getting into carving and canoes and things like that as well, so I'd kind of watch him and learn things from him as well. So that's kind of what got me going down, I guess, a carving path as well. I guess the traditional way of learning is, I think, different than what we think of as learning today. You go to school, you sit in that classroom setting, you get, instruction sheet. This is point A, point B, point C. This is how we're going to do everything. So when I was learning stuff, it was more like just watch me do this is a lot of what my instruction was. So I just go but learning that way, you learn to be really observant, and it's a lot of physical, visual learning, but it's not, okay, you have to, connect this point to this point to this point. Yeah, I mean, we have our traditional arts, but at the same time, some of them have evolved and changed over the years and added some materials or techniques that might be contemporary to that time or today. It goes to the bigger question of, what is culture, what is tradition, is it the actual thing, or is it that knowledge, is it the way the knowledge is being transferred, is it, the etiquette that's being transferred on, does it matter that chainsaw is being used to do some of the carving, does it not matter at all? We are such a small group. People do often have like a set idea of what we should be or should look like or should act, and when we don't meet what their standards are, sometimes it throws people off. But when you actually sit down and have a conversation with someone and they begin to understand, and I think that's crossing any cultural barriers. It's just that communication between people. A lot of what I do is because of trying to break down those barriers and trying to teach the world about who the Seminoles are, who we were, and where we're going. All of those are important. So I went to college. I went to Stetson University in DeLand, Florida. So I actually graduated there with my Bachelor of Arts in Fine Arts. So my focus there ended up being on ceramic sculpture, hand-built sculpture. And so that's what my senior thesis was based on, my ceramic sculpture. So the canoe that I'm working on here at History Miami, I found the log like about a year ago, I think last summer, out in the Big Cypress Reservation. Kind of a neat process, just finding it and cutting it and pulling out of the woods, taking it to the museum in Big Cypress and working on there for a while, trying to get a lot of the heavy work done on it, and then getting to a point where I can come here and do only hand tools on it. I kind of want this canoe to be a little bit different than some of the other ones that I've done. So generally our canoes are pretty undecorated. They might have like a coat of paint on them or something, but there's not lots of ornate designs or effigies or anything like that painted or carved on them generally. And so I think I definitely want to incorporate some sort of design with a mixture of carving and painting on the side to have a visual message of that importance of water, of nature, and the Seminoles' continuing connection to that as well. So I think something else that's important about, especially the traditional arts, is the connection to nature. It's a very direct connection to nature, and I think that's something that's really being lost very quickly in modern society. People know nature's there. They might go take a hike in it, and they can go visit a national park, but really interacting with nature and using it and smelling it and carving and creating with it is a whole nother level of understanding that you don't get just by strolling through it. Creating these arts definitely gives you a better understanding of why it's so important to maintain them as well. Because there's kind of a responsibility that comes along with using those natural items and elements that you're collecting. You know, you're taking something that's alive to create something else that you can now use, but it's something that's kind of being gifted from, you know, the natural world that we're a part of for something new to use specifically. Yeah, I mean, doing the traditional arts, or really any art for me, really, you know, it really feels like a type of meditation, you know, especially just learning how to become so much better at it, and, you know, always trying to improve my technique and trying to learn more and trying to, you know, learn what everything's called in our language. But, you know, once you kind of really get it down, you know, really becomes a meditative thing, you know, just on that personal level. And it's just really fulfilling knowing you're part of something bigger.